You know the drill. You run, you shoot, you collect ammo. And in a first-person perspective.
I'll be at the bar!
Huh? Here are the 10 best PS5 first-person shooter games ranked. Number 10, The Finals. If you're coming to a list like this, you're probably looking for something to play. And what better way to get started than with something that's free and good? Not to mention rather original in its mechanics. Oh yes, we're talking about destructive environments, a technology that has existed for over 2 decades but rarely is given time to shine. The Final pushes it right to the forefront. Bigger brutes can burst through concrete, grenades to stress buildings to collapse, and traversal between floors and ceilings can be as easy as a rocket launcher. This objective-based multiplayer game also rocks some of the best graphics on the PlayStation 5. And it's free. Come on! Number 9, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Look, we're not gonna lie, Call of Duty is in a weird spot right now, and Modern Warfare 3 feels a lot more like an actual expansion to Modern Warfare 2 instead of its own game. But viewed from a multiplayer perspective, there's simply no denying the online perfection that is Team Deathmatch. You take the blockbuster action of a Call of Duty firefight and combine the random chance of 12 different players, and the chaos, no matter how familiar, always feels improvisational. Each room is comprised with a blind spot. Each weapon can function in all circumstances, but only with smart play. It'd be higher on this list, but we think everyone here is already familiar with the series. But Call of Duty's gameplay is what earned it a spot here. Number 8, Borderlands 3. But let's say Call of Duty is a bit too busy for your tastes. You want the chaos, you want the explosions, you want the 10 bazillion guns, but you would rather your opponents make for easy target practice while you absorb bullets like a Kevlar paper towel. Hey, at the end of the day, it's all power fantasy, so why not take a trip to Borderlands 3 with a few friends online? This signature Gearbox game has all the cartoony cel-shaded graphics, offbeat humor, and random spec system that means you'll never get the same firearm twice, including guns that shoot other guns. It's a silly game. Number 7, Cyberpunk 2077. Let's not mince words. When Cyberpunk debuted on the PlayStation 4, it ran like hot garbage. Bad. Would not recommend. Now with the 2.0 update on the PlayStation 5, and with a surplus of enhancements, this might be one of the best games ever made. With an extremely immersive dystopian world and a plethora of extremely fun and varied guns, the only reason this didn't go higher on the list is because, well, you might not need to shoot a bullet after a while, instead choosing to detonate cars or people with your mind while deflecting incoming bullets with a samurai sword. Cyberpunk on consoles is really good now. Spread the word. Number 6, Apex Legends. In a perfect world, we would already have Titanfall 3, but when Respawn's first EA franchise failed to make significant headway in the retail space, the developers took to the growing free-to-play battle royale genre instead. But the results weren't so simple, forcing players into trios, a first-person perspective, and giving each character their own powers. This instantly made Apex Legends stand out at the time, but it's snug gameplay that has allowed it to endure while other battle royale games fold. What's next for the series is anyone's guess, as this was originally a spin-off of the aforementioned Titanfall, whose own franchise is looking bleak at best. But knowing Apex, the hardcore players will never leave. Number 5, RoboCop Rogue City. The original Paul Verhoeven film is certainly a classic by any measure, from its pitch-perfect satirization of the 1980s boom economy to its hyper-violent solutions to social problems. And that's all well and good. We're not trying to separate the art from its intentions, but, you know, the prospect of playing as RoboCop and blasting away whatever Detroit lawbreakers come in your path, that's the sort of action that has inspired video game developers for years. And thankfully, RoboCop Rogue City delivered exactly that and little more. Where we're talking about all the social satire, vector computer interfaces, and flimsy drywall, and whatever else fizzes, pops, or explodes when you shoot it. In fact, it's all a lot of presentation over skill, but it does it really well. They even got Peter Weller back to play RoboCop, so this is not a shallow cash-in. Number 4, Metro Exodus. The Metro series has been around for well over a decade at this point, and the games have certainly delivered on that bleak post-apocalyptic future of the novels. But as interesting as its resource gathering was to its narrative, it ultimately didn't really matter to the largely linear path of games. Still, they are definitely worth a look. But the third game, Metro Exodus on the other hand, is an open world game, and further burdens the player with all the survival responsibility, bullet counting, and brutal cold. And we wouldn't have it any other way. Exodus finds the right line between liberating options and harsh conditions, and that makes all the small victories along the way feel like something meaningful. A great take on an already great series. Number 3, Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is a game which continues without much acknowledgement from outside its bubble, but it is worth remembering. This is a fantastic game for both single players and those who want a Borderlands-like experience with much stronger mechanics. And hey, that's no knock against Gearbox, but Destiny 2 is made by Bungie. Bungie made Halo. Halo features some of the most influential game design ever. In fact, Destiny 2 is first-party Sony. If Sony was willing to go so far as to buy the company, you know it's gotta be pretty good. Oh, and it's free. Yeah, it's free. Fantastic. Enjoy yourself. Number 2, Deathloop. This is one of the coolest games of the entire generation. First-person shooter or not, Deathloop is exactly as it sounds. You're on an island which seems to remove the consequence of death by traveling back in time each morning. It's complicated, so let's just say Groundhog's Day, okay? We good with that? Alright, moving on. This is essentially a mechanical spin-off of Dishonored, where players must kill off all of the main enemies in the game in one single loop. Knowledgeable players could clear the game in just 20 minutes, but newbies are going to need a dozen or so hours. That sort of foundational game design doesn't come around too often, so it feels like we'll be talking about Deathloop over and over and over again whenever it comes to underrated gems. An awesome game. Number 1, Doom Eternal. The Doom reboot shut down any doubt about the future of the franchise, but Doom Eternal challenged what we thought we knew about Doom. More like a heavy metal version of Metroid Prime, players needed to learn the ins and outs of resource acquisition and management. And yeah, I know that sounds a little dry, but by that we mean which monsters to shoot and which ones to tear open and take out the goodies. But the biggest surprise is how natural the whole game feels on a gamepad. This shouldn't be right. This should be a mouse and keyboard game. But when you use a pro controller with back buttons, which one is more precise is debatable. I know, it's crazy. What are we, living in the end times? Well, it is Doom Eternal, so that checks out. And there you have it, the 10 best PS5 first-person shooters ranked. How's about you ready, aim, and fire up Game Rant? Because we've got even more PlayStation and Doom clone news, so we'll see you there.